Hey everyone! I want to make a follow-up video on the Swanky or Skanky video that I posted yesterday. And just the title and bringing it up to people already caused a lot of interesting conversations in different circles. I posted it as a business, did it at my desk, discussed about fertility and lingerie, and the feedback has been nothing less than interesting. You know, sex always sells, and the whole purpose of posting the initial Swanky or Skanky video saying that for lingerie does matter, especially when it comes to making babies. So why did I post it? Because, you know, as a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, I am focusing on helping women and men make babies. And that just kind of fell onto me. I've always specialized in pain cases, but in the last 25 years, my profession, my career has evolved. The reason why I'm doing a part 2, Swanky or Skanky, is because I really want to start delving into marriage at this point regarding that. I think I shared a lot. It was almost an hour video for the importance of, please watch it. This video is a little more dark. Wednesdays are my jiu-jitsu days. I help with the kids and I help with the teenagers. It's a lot of fun. I really want to talk about this, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make time tomorrow, but I want to talk about this while it's in my mind. And the reason why is because I have some couples or some women and men, you know, not married to each other, just, you know, men who are married and women who are married, and they're presenting some of the similar issues of stressful marriages. We usually stress out about, you know, not enough time with each other, financial issues, not seeing things eye to eye, health-related issues, freedom-related issues. You get to do this, I don't get to do this. Jealousy issues. I mean, I've been married for 21 years, so I understand a lot of what is presented to me, and some of you are divorced. And in this case, we're going to talk primarily about men and women who are married. I am heterosexual, so I have no business to talk about anything other than a heterosexual relationship. So how do I link the lingerie with a happy marriage? And the person who initially asked me what prompted all this, specifically for fertility, was she had asked, and it was well-meaning, you know, what store do I recommend? And I'm not sure if she's in the habit of purchasing lingerie, but the question itself tells me that she probably does not. And so when you're already married and you've been married for 3 or 5 years, it gets very easy to start falling into this line of, this habit of, you know, just constantly living our lives and then putting our spouse second, especially when you're the wife. We have so many things to do. We're working, we have tons of laundry, we have to feed the family, and after a very long day, now your husband is wanting to have intimacy time and you don't have the energy to have sex. And when you're trying to have a baby, when you're working on having a baby, that's a big issue. So in this video, I want to discuss why lingerie is important for married couples. And I've talked to more men than women since I posted the video, which tells me there's a little bit of disparity. You know, there is a little bit of a discrepancy in that topic there are women who are not married who don't even want to discuss, who are married who don't even want to discuss lingerie. And you're not correlating your lack of happiness in your marriage to the lack of lingerie. Men are very simple. I learned a lot of this stuff from different neuroscientists online. I like to tell people that from 2002 to 2009, my marriage was like everyone else's. And then 2009 on, it became blissful because I started really understanding how men's brains work. That doesn't mean that I always apply everything that I learn, but I do my best. And I understand after a very long day, the last thing you want to do is be intimate with your partner. But just understand that with men, they hunt all day, and if they have a strong libido, if they have strong health, they're wanting to have sex. And so when you're working with me, when couples are working with me to get pregnant, it makes sense to be sexually active. And then I have to convince them to be sexually active at least 2 times a week, every week throughout the month, not just during ovulation. And there's scientific data that backs that up. Well, I'm going to start working on studies. I'm going to start looking at studies of, are couples who have more sex more likely to be happy? And I shared in the initial Swanky or Skanky video that last year alone, I think the market value of lingerie is $84 billion worldwide. And come 2031, I think it's going to go up to at least 5% per year. So obviously, vagina does not decrease in its value. And there was one comment that I had quoted from, I think, Glamour magazine, or please watch the first video. I quoted from, I think, at least 4 or 5 articles, one of them from the National Library of Medicine. So from actual scientific research. But one gentleman, and I think it was Glamour, one of the other I think it was a different magazine, stated the woman who's wearing the lingerie is holding the power. It's up to us, typically women, especially in our, relationships, who dictates what's going to happen the rest of the evening. Now, I'm not going to talk about non-married couples or not committed couples. I'm going to talk specifically about couples who are committed to each other, especially if you're married. And I'm in this process. I love doing surveys, and I'm in this process right now where I'm interviewing 100 men at least to really understand their value of lingerie. And whether you agree with it or not, it does not matter. If you're really trying to have you have to respect what men prioritize. I'm even interviewing my own husband and finding out some information that I didn't really know. This isn't the first time that I've put out questions that I've been formulating, a method, or formulating questions and putting together, compiling answers, and creating a book that will be hopefully taken really well. But whenever I ask these questions, men are like, I want to answer these questions. I want to answer these questions to let women know this is how we feel. So far what I'm getting is that lingerie really does matter. And when I'm discussing this with women, I see them shying away from this topic. I am 50 years old. You're not going to say anything to me. I have 3 kids. And when you're seeing me as a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine in my practice, when you're coming to me for treatment, this is a conversation we need to have, whether you're trying to have a baby, working at having a baby, or if you want to have a better relationship with your husband. Men are very simple. If they have strong health, there are men without strong health who have poor libido, but most men should have a really great libido. And if they don't, that is a Chinese medical issue. You got to have strong, what we call jing qi, strong kidney qi, and a bunch of other things. So if you don't have strong libido, that tells me that there is an issue with your health, and we need to work on that. So just know, women, that it is important to have the interest to buy lingerie. It's a drawn out video. I really want to bring home the point, and perhaps there will be one guy who brings the video home to his wife or committed partner and says, we need to discuss this. And believe it or not, women, we can solve a lot of marital issues if you just have proper sex with your husband. I have made agreements to myself and to my husband on when to be intimate, because lack of intimacy will cause the marriage to suffer. And I'm not a therapist. I strongly recommend that if it is an issue, you may want to consider talking to a therapist. You may want to consider talking with a sex therapist. I have people in my life that I would happily refer you to, because simply put, I asked my husband when I was posting this video on Swanky or Skanky specifically for fertility regarding lingerie, I asked him, would it matter to you if we didn't, if we weren't intimate? He said, I would divorce you in a heartbeat. And it may sound unfair to other people, but that's why you're married. Otherwise, you're really great friends. Now, I know there are couples who don't have sex and you do your best to make it work, but someone's suffering, I promise you, unless both people in the relationship, and I'm not talking as a therapist, I'm talking just as common sense. If both people in the relationship could care less for sex, great. But if one person really wants to have sex and the other person doesn't, and the person who wants to have sex is doing their best to make that other person happy, and we're not talking a physical health issue and not an anatomical health issue. We're talking about emotional or mental health issue. There needs to be some kind of intervention. You should consider speaking with a therapist, getting professional help. I'm making this video because there are some of you who are very unhappy in your marriages, and you might want to look at, there's discussion about the money issues, the health issues, the time issues, the relationship health issues, the freedom issues, whatever's going on. If you can have a healthy sexual relationship, maybe that might really help out your marriage. And if you watch that Swanky or Skanking video, those articles are, it is talking about lingerie, and nowhere is it talking about making babies. I just made that correlation between, if you're wanting to have a baby, you may really want to consider buying lingerie, because it is part of the protocol. $25 to $150 a month on heels and lingerie. Now, for us couples, I'm going to start really breaking this down. It's going to get really nerdy, but we're going to break down different things, based on studies. People love studies. Oh gosh, it's so true. This is what the American Academy of Neurological Science or something like that, this is what they recommend, and this is the sense. And there are all kinds of studies when it comes to, the senses, or like what people perceive. For example, the smell of certain scents will increase the size of the penis. And why is that study being made? Why are there studies on, lingerie? Why are there studies? And if you look it up, there is so much money being spent on lingerie, and there's so much money being spent on their studies, or the people's opinions. I want to pose this simple concept that if you can buy lingerie and do it just to have fun with your spouse, it may really, really help your marriage. Before you try to make everything else better, try to make it better in the bedroom, and you might find yourself much happier. We always say happy wife, happy life. Husbands have to be happy too. Husbands have to feel happy too. And I have one of those husbands that if he's not physically pleased, he's not going to be happy. And that's as honest as I can be. And sometimes people just need to hear, I think, that other people go through the similar issues, and it is okay to go see a therapist for certain things that may be causing some contention in your marriage. And what I'm simply saying is, if you just go and buy some lingerie that may, and if you listen to the first video, you'll understand when a woman's wearing sexy panties, she has a particular feeling all day long, and her spouse or committed partner really feel like, wow, you know, she's thinking about me. She wants to be with me. You know, he feels honored that she wants to be with him, and she wants to please him. So please do watch that other video. This video today really is focused on helping my friends and my patients, and maybe someone who doesn't know me, but you just happen to run across this dark video, and might give you some insight on the importance of lingerie, keeping things hot and spicy, what I call the 4 H's: healthy, happy, hot, and horny. And maybe, just maybe, this video and the suggestion may cause at least one of you to not consider divorce. I'm not saying divorces shouldn't happen, but maybe it might save a marriage and might cause you to seek therapy, especially a sex therapist, or, you know, discuss certain things. You don't know if one of you, not necessarily the woman, it could be the guy too, you don't know if there was sexual abuse in the past. You don't know if that person's not discussing these things. You don't know if that person if a woman has a dry vaginal issue. You don't know if, you know, I did a video called Atrophy of the Clitoris. You don't know if she's unable to have an orgasm and this is uncomfortable for her. You don't know if this is uncomfortable for him. We always assume that sexual dysfunction, if it's not erectile dysfunction, we usually think, oh, it's the woman not interested. I know someone who tells me that their husband's not interested, and it really affects her. And there are quite a few men walking around who have no interest in sex, and so the woman is suffering. I know that I have a couple, and they will not tell their parents that the reason why they had to go through IVF, and they didn't share that at all, but it was because the mom, the grandmother, had taken at the time in a different country a fertility drug, and that fertility drug gave her a son, but it caused him to not have any viable sperm. And they didn't know this until they went and saw a specialist here in the United States. There are all kinds of cases that come in, and when people are honest with me, we do talk about sex or the lack of, and we do talk about marriages and happy marriages and the lack of happiness in the marriage. So maybe what we're doing is, with you and me as a licensed acupuncturist, as a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, is opening up a conversation that you can potentially have with your partner. It's growing, it's evolving, and I'm grateful that I have a husband who's very forthcoming and willing to talk about these things, and I'm open to hearing things. I'll give you one of the questions in the questionnaire, which is, does it matter to you if the woman is small, medium, or large? And mean me, but you know, it's a question to just ask. I'm trying to ask my husband specifically, not just as a husband, but you know, does it matter? And he said no. I said, do you think it matters to most men whether a woman's small, medium, or large? He said, it probably does. I mean, that's one thing, you know, like colors of lingerie. Is lingerie important? Are there any special features of the lingerie that you particularly like? have these conversations. So it's not just, how are the kids? What do you want for dinner? You know, did you pick up the kids on time? What are we going to do for the weekend? Are we going to go hiking? You know, that's great. But you have to have this passionate conversation, or this conversation about passion. Otherwise, what will happen is there will be no passion. You get what you think about most of the time. And if you're not thinking about passion, guess what you're lacking in your relationship? If it's just about work, how's work going? When are we going to pay the bills? What bills do we have to pay? You know, I want to get this new car. Oh, we should upgrade our house or downgrade our house. Or, you know, oh, Johnny wants to join football, and, you know, different things other than the most core part of our relationship, which is physical and emotional intimacy. All right. Thanks for watching this video while I'm in my car. I didn't want to make it in my house because my kids are home and they usually would be asleep, but it would just be too weird if they were not asleep, or, you know. And I'm going to have a pretty busy day tomorrow, and I really wanted to bring home the second part. So what I'm going to do with third is break down more of what women want sexually from men and what men want from women. And this will be geared for fertility people, my fertility patients, and non-fertility. Because if we can have this open dialogue, and perhaps we can have less marital issues and more happy people coming in for acupuncture, then we're focusing more on other health relationships, other health related issues. But here's the thing, guys. I've been studying since 1999 or 1994, and I've been treating people for the last 25 years. And I notice something, which is when people have poor marriages, their health really suffers. They're not in a good place and they're not happy. I listen to different podcasts. I'm listening to Meg Robbins right now. I listen to different, you know, people that have to do with medicine and not medicine. And Joe Rogan has this podcast going on right now with two people. It's new. It just came out. It's with Francis Foster and Konstantin Kizin. And they were talking about, you know, they were asking one of the guys, you know, because he's not married yet, no kids. And he was talking about, you know, shooting live rounds, but, you know, pick a partner who is not going to ruin your life. And it's really sad when I have quite a few patients who are not in happy relationships or have recently had to get divorced because it was a toxic relationship. And I'm not saying sex saves marriages, but I am saying that sometimes no matter how good a relationship is, if you don't have healthy sex, because men need sex to increase their testosterone, women, I'm going to really go into research on why it's so important for both parties, both men and women. But I can tell you, as a woman, we don't always need the sex for the physical comfort. We need it more for the emotional, and it's like a reward for the man. And I know that doesn't sound right, but it oftentimes is. And maybe if we just open a little dialogue on how we can have great relationships, great relationships, so then it doesn't feel like the man is being rewarded, but that it is actually a time of great intimacy. It is the most precious thing that God has given us besides children. I mean, that's how we make children. And hopefully the children are made from love. They're made in love. And as we go along in our lives, it's very easy to get involved with all these activities and leave very little left for our partners. Again, I'm not a therapist. I'm an acupuncturist. I just treat a lot of couples who come to me with so many different types of health issues and emotional concerns. and at least half of you guys are coming in with the marital stuff. And I get it. I get it. I'm married too. But we have to honor one of the most baser instincts, one of the most basic things, which is physical and intimacy. Otherwise, what you have is a friendship. And unless, like I said earlier, unless both parties just want to have a nice, home life, and, they don't care about sex, that's cool. And it's like a friendly relationships under a house. But if one person is wanting to be physically intimate and the other one is like, could care less, that is almost a ticking time bomb, because someone's going to feel like they're not getting their needs met. And that's when I would recommend, especially even before that, to go see a therapist, have open dialogue, talk about things, and you never know, things may be rekindled. All right, I hope you have a great night. Thank you for watching this in my car, and I hope if you have any comments, you can text me 619-341-4341. I send this with humility and from a good place and a happy place. And I hope that my patients watching this, and anyone who, is not a patient, and maybe this gives you some food for thought, I hope it helps you. The name of my website is elementsinharmonyacupuncture.com, and we have other acupuncturists, other doctors and healers. We're here to serve you 6 to 7 days a week. Acupuncture can help your libido tremendously. All right, take care.